Hello, and welcome to the We Get to Do This podcast. My name is Kailee.
And I'm Jacob.
And we are your co-hosts.
In this show, we're going to dive into all things our lives, from our partnership to romance to entrepreneurship to growing our businesses together, our fitness journeys, and we're going to have a ton of different guests on that relate to what I just said in some way. We're hoping you enjoy the show, and if you do,
please feel free to follow us, leave us a 5-star review on wherever you listen to your podcasts, and enjoy.
And if you don't like the show, tough. Thank you.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the We Get to Do This podcast.
Yay.
If it's your first time here with us, thank you for being here. We really appreciate you and are glad that you're listening. If this is your first time, Jacob and I have a pretty conversational manner to our podcast, and today what's kind of been on our minds and something we've been talking about a lot lately that we want to share with you all is kind of that like mentality of just being in life. And I know for a lot of you and me, like just being can be really scary, actually, like especially in a culture where things are so fast-paced and we're constantly moving and we're constantly looking for the next best thing. And you know, in your conversations with friends, like you want to have like those big things to announce with people. And I think for us, at least, like every day when we talk to our patients or clients, it's like you want to like have this like exciting thing to like tell them about. And we have had a lot of exciting things. So I'm not saying that, you know, this is not a like saying that our lives are boring by any means or like downplaying things, but I think both of us are like very just content with where life is right now. And I think it's a very new thing for both of us because we've constantly, like at least speaking for myself, I mean, my last 31 years of life has been just go, 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 always looking for the next thing. Like, okay, I'm going to go to undergrad. I'm going to get my nursing degree. Then I'm going to get a job. Then then I was living out of state. And then I was, waiting to then move back to Minnesota and like always like looking for that next thing. And, what's my next move? And then it was straight to grad school. And then it was finding the job. And then I was waiting to start my business and then waiting to quit my other job. And there's just always been like something on my mind of like, okay, what's that next step, or what's that job I need to quit, or what's that, relationship that I need to deal with, or, you know what I mean? Like there's just always that next thing. And again, this is not me saying that I'm not thinking about things, because I did just sign up to take my run coaching certification today, but that's something I've been talking about since our New Year's resolution. So not like a super new thing. But yeah, we just want to like talk about normalizing the state of like just being, and how it's okay to almost romanticize. Like I feel like we've been romanticizing like nights at home where we can cook together, where we can, last night we went out to the grill and grilled a bunch of food. Well, I swam and read a book, and then we both read by the pool.
I was in my masculine.
Jake was in his masculine at the grill, and then we came inside and ate the food that was so good. If you have not had the buffalo blue cheese chicken burgers from Whole Foods, they currently only have them at the Dinah Deli, the Whole Foods Deli.
At least that we found.
At least that we found this year. Last year they had them at the St. Louis Park one. We just haven't seen that again this year. They are so good, 10 out of 10. But we just sat there like enjoying our food and watching a movie. And then we were in bed by 8:39, and it was just like I'm truly enjoying those nights. So yeah, that's kind of the premise of what we want to talk about today.
Yeah. Being busy is almost sexy, for people like myself and you. If you're someone who's kind of searching for dopamine all the time, it's a lot. I mean, the best way to think about it is if you are someone who wants to change up your diet, I guess. Or I'm not going to use that example. I'm going to use a running example. If you're someone that wants to run faster a year from now, if you want to cut off 20 minutes off of time, it's a lot easier to. No, I don't think I can use this example. I think I have to use food. So if you're someone, okay, back to the original example of food. If you're someone that wants to, say, lose 10 pounds, right? It's a lot easier to get the quick dopamine hit every day of ice cream before bed than it is to say no, not get the dopamine hit, and get the bigger dopamine hit later of losing weight, if, say, that's your goal, right? And I think that is kind of being busy in a nutshell. At least for me in my experience, it feels a lot better to just be like moving constantly, right? As opposed to slowing down, taking stock, just being as you will, and then getting a bigger leap or reward or whatever later, right? It's all these small little dopamine hits now versus later. And I actually found this phrase, I'm sure people have said it tons of times, right? But I was in a therapy session with my Sherpa, who I've been working with for a year now, probably.
Probably.
Year, maybe, yeah, probably a year. And, probably longer. I don't know. They're my third therapist I've worked with, but I call them my Sherpa. Anyways, and I was kind of like originally going to him for being lost in the sense of trying to figure out what was next. And I was like, I'm spinning my wheels. I'm trying to figure out what's next. And he just kind of looked at me and was like, well, do you have to have a next thing? And I was like kind of taken aback by that. It was like, like you were saying, leave undergrad, start my business, work at PRG until I could jump to my business full time, build my business full time to my capacity, whatever it was at the time, right? And then figure out what the next thing was. And I'm struggling with figuring out what that next thing was. I still am, right? And yeah, they were like, maybe that's a sign that you should just kind of relax into it right now. And right, and that was a year ago, and since then I've made more leaps and whatnot. But him and I come back to that constantly of this idea pretty much every time I see him of like, how are you doing with like, I think Nick Bear actually talks about contentment versus complacency, right? And being like content, not being okay, being complacent. Like that's not who you and I are, right? We want to be achieving things. We want to be trying to better ourselves, our future family, whatnot. But being content with the moment where we're in right now, right? We just got engaged. And immediately everyone's asking, when's your wedding? What are your thoughts on wedding? How big is your guest list going to be? You should do your wedding at this place. And that's great, right? But it's at the same time, it's like we should sit in just that and be content with just that as well,
And that's a good example and how it's hard because you constantly have these external things that are coming at you. Because then I'm always, every time I get asked, I guess there's no shame on people who ask and like who want to do this, but then I'm like, oh, should I be working on this? Like, am I behind? Like, what should I be doing for this? Even though I'm perfectly fine not immediately working on the wedding, but like allowing yourself to like truly like look internally and be like, okay, what do I want? And what's best for our relationship versus like all of the outside things that are coming in.
right? Again, it's sexy to be busy, right? It's sexy to have more clients, work more hours. Other examples, I guess, I don't know, but you get my point. And sometimes those things are important, right? Having more clients, yeah, that could be sweet, but at what level, what cost, right? And I think that so far in my career, every time I have paused and taken stock of what's going on and just kind of been okay not having to progress, not having to make another 1,000 this month, not having to pick up 5 more clients this month or 1 more client, or not having to run more miles, just being like in this moment. It's like immediately something opens up, right? And whether or not that's me being more aware and present of what's going on, right? Or if it's an opportunity like presenting itself, for whatever reason, the universe allows that to kind of happen. And this reminds me of 2 specific things I wanted to bring up from this new book I'm reading, Going More by Nick Bear. And
A
You
very nice gift.
a very
Birthday
nice
gift.
and a very nice gift. I actually got it from two people. So shout out Todd and shout out Cynthia for my birthday.
And Tim.
And Tim. It's a good point. Sorry, Tim. Feel so loved.
It's because you are.
But you brought this. You said you wanted to do this topic today, and I was like, oh, I actually read about this a little bit last night. And he has a quote in here that is, "Lack of intentionality leads to a repetition of what is easiest." And I think that kind of sums up what we're talking about,
Can you
right?
say it one more time?
Lack of intentionality leads to a repetition of what is easiest, right? And this idea of just being, I kind of equate that to then being intentional too. And furthermore, again, the example that he used that I liked a lot is, and I'm going to butcher this, make it my own, whatever. He talked about like a car, basically, that you can think about it. Someone pushes their foot down to the floor and they're going 1,000 miles per hour, whatever, pedal to the floor, right? Busy, 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 busy. And they're not really getting anywhere. They're just kind of constantly moving at the same speed or whatever. And like that speed is barely moving, or maybe the car is not even moving. And then I don't remember what his example was. He took a moment to pause, take his foot off the gas pedal, and realize one of his tires was low on air, right? Something like that. And because of that, fill the tire up, and now you have to move at half the speed to go faster, right? So all that to be said, when we pause, when we take these moments and we look, take stock, take inventory, usually something is revealed in our personal life, work life, family life, fitness life, whatever it is, that we can then look to make life easier, I think.
Well, and as business owners, like it is so easy to just have pedal to the metal, have, full schedule of patients for me, have a full schedule of clients for you. And then it's very hard because we see a lot of our, mentors, people we look up to who are very busy working in the business versus on the business. And this is like just a very great example of where it's important to be able to propel the business forward without just having 40 hours a week of just like go, 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 or you're one-on-one with people. And when you can actually like step back, that's where like all of my ideas come from, like for actually like growing the business and growing myself. And I've been starting to journal more. And like what you're saying with intention, and I feel like I resonate with that a lot. And it reminds me of like, Buddhism principles and like meditation, and how like when you sit with yourself and you're just being, like that is you living with intention. And it's not you being lazy, it's not complacency, like it's just literally checking in with like, who am I? And like, where do I see myself going? Like, what do I want out of life? Like to go for a bigger, perspective. And in the past, like growing up, I think it's always been like very uncomfortable to just sit with yourself. And a lot of people don't like meditation because you have like all those thoughts and everything's going through your head and you're going through your to-do list and all these things that you have to do. And it can be uncomfortable to not have a full schedule 24/7. Like that's always been me. Like both of us, we talk about like we kind of get weird when we're not just busy all day every day. But also like we have the privilege right now to not be busy 24/7. Like, yes, our schedules are busy. We're running our businesses. We have training schedules. We have friendships we want to keep up. We have families that we want to see. But, like, being able to take that step back and be like, okay, Kailee, like, you don't have to be just running around all the time. And I'm sure for our friends and family who are listening to this, they're probably listening and being like, we feel like you guys are busy all the time, and maybe not seeing it in the same way as us, but like, I really feel like the last couple of weeks, like, we have been able to kind of like take our feet off the gas pedal. And even on weekends, like this weekend, for example, we went to a coffee shop 2 days and today and worked on stuff. And
On, not in.
yeah, worked on
Well, I worked a little in too.
a little of
But
both.
you get my point.
And finally, like, didn't feel like we were just constantly playing catch up with client emails and treatment plans and getting the things done that needed to be done a week ago. And I was putting together stuff for the Stride to She workshop that's in a couple months and working on run coaching and like actually being able to like look to the future versus like constantly playing that catch up game. And it's made me feel so much more like at peace and at ease and knowing that I can do this. And this like the just be principle, like I want to acknowledge too that this looks different for everybody. Jacob and I don't have kids, so I know this would look different like if we had a family, but you can use this like in your own life too, in that, you know, when if and when we do have children, our just being will obviously look a lot different than right now, but it can mean, you know, we're probably not going to be going to as many like community things, like our runs and stuff, for example, because we're going to be spending time at home with our kids. And like a night of just being with that would be to like sit down and have a family dinner and play a game together. Like that.
No games.
But you love games with the Carlsons. Jacob's
Oh,
sworn off. Jacob's sworn off games because my family is pretty competitive with games and
I'm on a hiatus from games.
he still loves us, but you're getting used to the competitiveness still. Okay, so maybe not playing games, but going for a walk or watching a movie. Like, you can apply this. Like, what does just being like mean to you? And I shared what it means to us right now, but obviously, like this is gonna look different in every stage of life, and we could be doing this podcast in a year, and it could look completely different for us. But that's kind of why I wanted to like talk about this today because we've actually had like a couple weeks slash a month of like talking about this and having like that experience and like getting comfortable with that uncomfortableness of it. Like I'm actually like enjoying like my luxury now is like sitting down and reading a book on a Sunday afternoon versus okay, I have this list of 20 million things that I have to do. Like I don't have the time to go sit down and read a book. Like that's my like luxury when I know I'm winning. Like that's what I see in my life.
Yeah, I think it's ironic that growing up, my dad always used to like stop me and be like, Jacob, slow down. As like a kid, you know, and I was like running around breaking shit. I don't know.
You still do that.
I still do it. Yeah, it's a good point. Spilling shit out, just like, and he'd be like, Jacob, slow down. Just take a breath, right? It's so funny how like how we are as children. That goes into the whole nature and nurture thing, right? Because the way that I am wired is to be moving, and it makes me very good at what I do in life. It does. So I'm not saying that not moving isn't good. However, there again back to the intentional thing of being intentional with your moving, right? And I find that I get into these streaks of where this is going to sound weird, but I, if you're someone that struggles with this, you will get what I mean by this. But I get into these streaks where literally the idea of sitting makes me feel like uncomfortably like in my skin. Like the idea of slowing down makes me feel uncomfortable. And that is like our adrenals just being full, full force, like little raisins. Top of our kidneys, just a little shrimp, right? Just and like the actual physical idea of like slowing down, like freaks me out. It's weird, but again, I think you understand. I think people understand that, right? And I get into these phases where I wake up and I can't wait to get done with my 6 a.m. Then I can't wait to get done with 7, then 8. And then I can't wait to be through my break, through eating, right? So I can get back to work. And then I can't wait to get done with work. And then I can't wait to finish this run. And then I can't wait to finish the lift afterwards. And then I can't wait to do 2 clients. And then I can't wait to go home. And then when I'm at home, I can't wait to get done cooking so that I'm eating. And literally while I'm eating, it's like, oh, I can't wait till I'm done eating this. And then we'll sit on the couch and turn a movie on or we read or whatever. And it's can't wait till I'm done with this page. Can't wait till this movie's done so I can go to bed. I can't wait till I fall asleep. So then I wake up and then restarts. I'm just like, it's always like this. I can't wait. Oh, what kind of a life is that? You know? And the next thing you know, like you're 80 and you go, oh shit. Well, I waited and now I can't wait to be dead, I guess. Like, and I feel like that's been a very eye-opening thing over the past, year, I guess. And even our privilege with like the amount of family members and friends that we have around us. And I was with a friend of mine, Jake, and he was talking about how he had his grandmother over, I believe, and was asking her questions and having a conversation with her and stuff. And it made me think of like, wow, why don't I do that? Like, why don't I do those things more? Like, be more present with, in this situation, it was grandparents, right? But be more present with like anyone that you're with at that specific moment, right? In this moment, I am being present with this person, with Kaylee on this podcast right now. It's our time, my time to be present with Kaylee. So just be present, yo. I don't know.
Well, even like I'm thinking of you with like acupuncture treatments. Like you'll go
Yeah.
months with not wanting to get treated by me. A lot of people are like, "Oh, does Jacob get treatments every day? Like that must be so nice." And I'm like, Jacob will go months without wanting one because after like with the adrenals and like being that go go go, like to be able to like just like lay there for 20-30 minutes and let me like poke needles into you
Tough.
is tough. And then after, you usually get pretty emotional.
Oh yeah.
And
Happens a lot. I'll get like sad or like
it's
yeah, weird. It's some weird shit.
but that to me is a sign like, okay, you need this. Like that means Jacob needs to slow down and you need to come into yourself. And that's one of the reasons why I love the work that I do in like acupuncture as a medicine is because it makes people like actually slow down and be with themselves and acknowledge like what is going on in my head, what is going on in my emotions, what is going on in my body. And I'll have people that will start crying on the table or like take these like huge sighs and like letting go of their breath. And you can just tell that people haven't taken a big breath in months. And we need to do this nervous system work. And again, there'll be seasons for it, but like I believe it's so important to like pull back every once in a while and just do this check-in with yourself. And I mean, we're at the end of summer. We are in peak, like I talked about before, we are in peak yang time. So there's so much heat in the air. In Minnesota, it's very humid. Things move fast right now, which is the perfect time to like stop and be like, okay, what do I actually want? Have I sat down to read a book? Have I sat down to have a conversation with my partner? Have I spent intentional time with my kids? I mean, that can look like going to the playground with them and going on the swings with them, playing tag. Like, it's being intentional and then also connecting with not only yourself, but with others too, like in an intentional way.
I'm practicing it every day right now.
Yeah, because the more it's like anything, the more you practice it, hopefully, the better we'll get at it and then be able to come back to this. And I think another reason why I've been wanting to do this more lately too, or like it's been on the forefront of my mind, is just with everything that's going on globally right now. Even just like we're having so many storms in Minnesota. And the other night we were under another tornado watch. Like I feel like this is like the second or third one that we've been in where it's like you are actively in a tornado watch right now, like take cover. And everything going on overseas, everything happening in the US, like for me it just helps put things into perspective because there's obviously so much hurt, there is violence, like there's so much going on right now. But for me, it's that reminder that life is so short and so precious, and like we need to be living every day with intention, with gratitude and connection and community, because like not to be morbid, but we don't know how much time we have, and cancer rates are on the rise. And like again, like not to be sad, but like I feel like our generation's really like thinking of things like in this like broader mindset of like we need to enjoy our lives because we don't know how long we have. And we need to spend time with the people that we love because we don't know how long they're going to be around for. And again, we're lucky to be able to do those things. And even with spending money, like I feel like I've gotten a lot better in the last, especially a couple of months, but like year at like, okay, going out for a coffee at a coffee shop and like getting work done, like spending $5 on a coffee is not going to break the bank. And it makes me so happy. And I get so much work done because of it. And I get to spend time with my life partner.
Yeah.
And just
That's
kind
neat.
of just like changing my mindset on these things because, I mean, yes, hopefully we still have 50 plus years left to live. But in the scheme of things, like that's not that long. And save for retirement, like, yes, make sure you're still planning, but also like the money goes away with you when you die. And I just really think it's important to like live and not just be scared of what's going to happen and having kind of that fear aspect. And, you know, what, like going back to like what brings you joy? What brings you joy in this moment? And what will help you to live with intention and to just be in your life? And what brings us joy most likely will like is completely different for you, but like connecting with that and being like, okay, what do I actually enjoy? Like what makes me happy? Who do I like spending my time with? And again, like what does just being mean to me? So I hope you all ponder that today because I think it's important because life is long, but it's also very short. And we only have one. Are you sneezing?
I held it back. I just saved our listeners.
That would have been very dramatic.
I challenge you all. Take a second today. And as Aaron Boyke would say, look up at the sky
Yes.
for a solid minute.
Smell the
I had a
flowers.
client do that last week, and he looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, trust me, you need it. What is your we get to do this moment this week, Bae?
Oh boy. I feel like I've had a very good week, but today is officially day one of my Javelina 100 training. We are about 17 weeks away, and so I had my first run, like official run back since Grandma's half over a week ago. And I am stoked for my training plan and so grateful to have you like putting it all together. Like we sat down this weekend and went over like my schedule and what everything looks like, which is another plug to have a run coach. Like it's so nice to like actually have a plan mapped out and not constantly be questioning like, am I doing enough? Is there like something else I should be doing? And like having you be able to like work with me. Like that's what a coach does is like they help you with like an individualized plan. So anyways, I'm just very grateful to be on this next ultra journey, and I feel so strong and excited to build off of the miles that I've already been putting in for the last 6 months and to now tailor that more towards trails and ultra training and heat training, which we'll be doing a podcast episode about at some point because it's one of the new training pillars that I think we're all gonna need to focus on. So did a run followed by sauna this morning, followed by sitting out in the 80-degree weather and working for a few hours. So I think my heat training is off to a good start. I'm just grateful to be able to be doing this. What's your week to do this moment?
I get to have lunch with my grandparents again on Thursday, which I'm trying to do at least once a month, which I'm excited about. Last time we had some fun conversations. And I was asking them kind of Jake questions, inspired questions again, but things like who your best friend was growing up. And we've talked about like their story. They've known each other since kindergarten. I've talked about more about like my dad growing up to, just like things that you don't, like you forget that your grandparents were once also, 20-year-olds that were just figuring it out too, like us, or like two kids that didn't have kids, right? Like, so it's cool, like hearing their stories and you just realize how much you don't ask when you're younger. At least that I didn't ask when I was younger. So try to do that more and stuff and spend time with them more.
Yeah, and hear about a completely different generation. Like a
Yeah.
time that we will never have back.
And their like memories of their grandparents and parents. And that's even different, right? So yeah, it's been good. We get to do this.
Yeah, takeaway for today, romanticize your life, just be and find the joy in things. Which, last side note, also the food we've been getting at Whole Foods has been so bomb. We've been eating really well because pro tip, for sure on Sundays, they put like these little 50% off stickers onto like different meats and foods. And so we've been getting like grass-fed steaks, air-chilled like organic chicken and veggies and so much for 50% off. And then we just either use it that day or freeze it. And it's been bringing me so much joy. So check out the Whole Food section. And since I really like you all, I'm sharing this with you. But anyways, thank you for listening to another episode and for hanging out with us for another 30 minutes or so.
And if you liked it, please leave us a rating and a 5-star review.
Yeah, really helps us. Thank you.
Wow, Kaylee, we made it through another episode. What do you think?
We would love if you would go give us a follow, a 5-star review, and comment on the episode and what you liked and what you'd like to see more of.
See you next time.
We get to do this.